And I
Mhm.
think I learned a lot from that about women and how we often bring our own pain into the workplace
Mhm.
and how we can inflict that on each other.
What's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, no sugar added. I am so stoked to have you here. I mean, every week you guys show up. I'm at like 99,800 something downloads. Like, you guys are killing it, okay? I freaking love you as my community, a bunch of straight talkers just hanging out. It's a beautiful thing. And as you know, I go around this amazing freaking planet finding only the best humans I can find to come on here to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. Now, I am super excited to introduce you to one of my girls. I love her. Her name is Dr. Phyllis Hayes-Reams, and she's here with us to hang out. She's a transformational life coach, a mentor of over 20 years of experience in palliative, geriatric, and internal medicine. Not only is she a board certified physician, but also an ordained minister in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Ooh, that's a mouthful. With a deep commitment to women's ministry. I mean, this woman honestly is who she says she is. She walks that walk, and I love her for that. Now, Dr. Phyllis' journey took a transformative turn in 2020, leading her from a life of busyness to one of being centered, to being up the priority, to being present, to having purpose, right? And all of this guided by her faith. And all of you guys know I am a Christian and somebody who really truly believes that faith anchors you. And she now focuses on helping Christian women through their overwhelm, right? And she has a beautiful podcast called Overwhelmed to Resilient. And I love it. I listen to it. It's a great podcast. Check it out, guys, or you're missing out. Okay. She also has a coaching program aiding them to overcome outdated beliefs and guilt and all of that stuff that we let bog us down. But there is resilience in us. There is resilience in us. And I wanted to make sure to have this amazing human being come on here because she, to me, is a true testament of power in faith and transformation. And I love, love, love her. Dr. Phyllis, thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm great. And thank you, Nina. I just want to tell the world how much I love you. Um,
Oh,
it
I love you too.
it is such a blessing to have sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much power in women.
Mm-hmm.
And you are a glowing example of that. So I just love you and appreciate your mentorship, your support, and your encouragement along my journey. So thank you for this opportunity. And I am so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so stoked to have you. I was so looking forward to tonight's podcast episode. I knew it was coming. I was like, all right, thanks. It's this next Tuesday. Okay, calm down, Nina. Calm down. But I'm so glad you're here. So I love to connect my audience to the people who come on the show because I think it is super powerful. Like, so a lot of the people who listen to this show are thought leaders, CEOs, they're in leadership, they're entrepreneurs, all of that. So I know you're speaking to the right people. So I really want them to get to know you. So tell us a little bit about who you are. Who are you?
You said a lot of it in the intro. One who has spent a lot of years chasing goals and achievements
Mm-hmm.
and admittedly external validation until it hit the wall in 2020. And but I have to be honest to say that God had been giving me some signposts even before that,
I believe
and
that.
probably back into 2019. And I have to say, I was really out of control, just really out of control, overextended, overcommitted, um, but just on a hamster wheel. And
Mm.
really can't blame anyone. I somewhat created it myself
Mm-hmm.
and knew that I just wasn't quite aligned with what was going on around me. And in 2020, as I tell people, God will put you through something that you cannot ignore.
That's
So
right.
he's been giving me signposts, he's been giving me signals, but in 2020, I couldn't ignore it. And it made me have to really stop and say, who's writing this script of your life?
Mm,
Is it
that's
God
deep.
or are you guy trying to write the script?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Did God say that medicine was your period in life or a comma? And that was huge, Nina,
It's
because here I had spent years, what, high school, college, medical school, residency, fellowship training, masters of public health, and then I thought I had arrived. I had done everything I needed to do. And then he called me to ministry. Okay, I'm good, Lord. Okay, I've done all that. I'm good.
right.
Working full time until he said, I didn't tell you that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And it called into question everything that I had put all this investment in. Now, don't get me wrong, nothing that God puts us through or allows us to go through is for nothing.
That's
It's
right.
just we as humans want to decide when the journey's over. We want to go and create a rest stop. And God is like, no, 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 no. This journey
Right.
is continuing to grow, to go on. And but it really made me have to look at myself. It made me question my faith in the way of how I have been living out my faith.
I see. Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's deep.
and having to put it into action. Okay, are you really going to have faith? Are you really going to put your hand in God's hand and let him take over control? Let him be the GPS. And it I just praise God, and it's been a journey, but I so much realize that he's just been planting seeds, and medicine
Mm-hmm.
has just been a a means. It's been a
Mm-hmm.
means to get me really to where his purpose is. And that is tapping into my love of women's ministry, tapping into my love of being of service, of helping people realize to realize their strengths and to live their best lives. And so I'm just excited, as you can tell. I'm just really excited.
Yeah, so I want to go back a little bit though.
Yeah.
I want to touch on what happened in 2020 because I think this is going to be a catalyst for a lot of
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
because you kind of like smoothed over it by like, yeah, I was going through some stuff, but we're gonna go there. Okay, we're
I
gonna go
love
there.
it. I'm
'Cause
ready.
I want to know what that is, right? I want to know
Yeah.
what wall you hit, what emotional wall you hit, what happened that you had to finally look up, like, right? Because we sometimes are so in the game, and that's what I try to tell all these leaders and CEOs and stuff that listen to the show. Like sometimes you're so hyper focused in the game that you're not looking abroad. You're not seeing what's around you. There's burnout there. There's questioning there. There's guilt. There's you're not empathetic with yourself. There's no forgiveness to yourself. And there's just this hardness that we think we have to have because we're leaders. So tell me what that was for you, because I've worked with a lot of doctors or seen a lot of doctors. I've been around doctors. I used to be in the medical field as
Mhm.
well. And they're like that. I mean, they're hyper focused. They're going in, they're doing their job. There's 16-hour days and I don't see them breathing, and they're human too. Right. So what was that moment for you? What happened?
So there was a lot of factors. I had been working on my job for years, um, been at this job over 20 years, close to 26 now, creating programs, working with patients and families, and have had my share of workplace disappointments,
Mm-hmm.
was appointed into a leadership position, and I have always had a heart for people. And I realize that's just the way I'm wired.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised with a very much a sense of fairness, from my parents coming from very meager means. And as I share with people, segregated Texas and working their way toward California. And I just have a very strong sense of fairness. And I think what it was, I, and as you see me pause, because I had some disappointment with someone who really I look to as a mentor. And I
Mhm.
think I learned a lot from that about women and how we often bring our own pain into the workplace
Mhm.
and how we can inflict that on each other. And there were several women kind of involved in this situation. But then getting into the leadership position and things changing overnight. And really, what it was is it didn't totally turn out the way I anticipated because there was I'll just say a lot of drama
Yeah.
going on at that time. And in the midst of working and feeling, as I think many of us women in leadership, that it's our job to be the job mom,
Mhm.
to be the mom of everybody, to plug all the holes,
Yeah.
to cover everybody so they have a chance to be off. Now we do that at work. And then we attempt, right? We attempt to give 100% at work with all those narratives, right, of what it means to be a leader. And as
Mhm.
you were mentioning, the guilt that we feel like we're not measuring up and we're trying to be everything to everybody. And then we're trying to be wives and moms
Yeah, let's not
and
forget those
daughters,
titles.
you know? And
Right.
so we fool ourselves into believing that we can be 100% there too, right? And then we add on community service. And I'm very active in my community, had um, been elected to be a president of a nonprofit um, community service group, also on the board of directors of another
Why
group.
not? You don't have
Why
nothing
not? Just
going
fill
on.
the
You
plate
have
up,
nothing going
right?
on.
Fill it up.
It's what we do.
And not realizing just how crazy that was. Everything is
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
just can't do it all at one time. And you're just running and you find that you lose presence, you become disengaged, and you think you have everyone fooled. You think that you're you're portraying that everything is okay. You know what I mean? You think
Mhm.
you got
Mhm.
your, people are
And
saying,
even to
"Oh,
yourself, you even fool
that's the
yourself to
thing."
thinking
That's
everything's okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because,
Mhm.
one's saying, "Oh gosh, how do you do it all? How do you organize this fundraiser? How do you ever sleep?" There's a little part of us, Nina, that's just like, "Oh, oh,
Oh, yeah, I know.
oh,
I'm one of those. Oh, yeah.
oh yeah." But the reality is
Yep.
just what you said, the only one we're really attempting to fool is ourselves,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
because we are not showing up in life as really our best selves, and we are getting off track. And so that was going on, and then COVID-19 hits.
Mhm. Mhm.
I am a department chair with 7 divisions,
Oh my goodness.
bringing them through COVID.
Mm.
And overnight, the United States, we didn't know what we were doing. By the time it rolled over to California, we were just like, "What?"
Right.
And everyone understandably were afraid. The physicians are afraid. They're not, are they going to take something home to their families? So as a leader, as you're leading this group, you're trying to make sure that I was trying to make sure they had the time that they needed while also trying to maintain access for
Right.
patient care.
Right.
And so someone is carrying the load. And because that was in Phyllis's brain, that it was her responsibility to carry the load.
Mm.
And it really was burnout at that point. And I call
I
it,
can imagine.
I say that I really was like a functional artichoke. That's just the best way to describe it. You know,
That's
you
that's
you know,
interesting.
you got this soft little heart, you know, you got this soft heart, the soft
Right.
center, but it becomes very hard on the outside.
Yeah, all those little spikes come
All
out,
those
and all
those
those
big all those layers you're trying to get through, but you're
That's
just going
so
through life,
interesting. Never
"Oh,
heard that
yeah,"
before. That's good.
you know, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah.
And that's what happened in 2020, and I don't hold any grudges. It takes time. When you're hurt, you're
Yeah.
disappointed,
Mhm, mhm.
um, and I really see those around were just actors in God's story because God had to pull that emergency cord off that treadmill, because
Mhm.
if I continued at the rate I was going, I was I was depleted. So, I definitely was not showing up in life as the best wife that I could be, the best mother that I could be, the best daughter, the best sister, best aunt. You know, work, the patients were being taken care of, but even, you know, after the fact, even team members were like, "We were so worried about you. You know,
Oh,
you were
wow.
just running all over. You know, you were just so tired," because I was trying to keep everything, you know, all the balls in the
Oh,
air.
yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, I I realize now just how, as I said before, how out of control I was. And so I finished 6 years in that position as the leader. Now understand that was preceded by 2 years. I said 2 years of pledging is what I said. You know, yeah, I had to pledge to get the position, right?
Right. Right.
And then, you know, when you get in a leadership position, as soon as you get in that position, you have a bullseye on your back. That's just, you know, and I'm not saying that happens in every leadership position, but more frequently than not, you just
Yeah.
need to know it's a big step out of the front line into
Mhm,
the
mhm.
leadership role. And so there are, especially if you're one who again pushes for fairness. And I believe no one is more important than anybody else. That's just the way I was raised. Everybody's important. Everyone deserves a voice.
Right.
So, I finished one term. I did not do another term. So I returned to the front line and I am loving it. I'm just
Oh,
doing
good.
patient care. I still lead my local team. So I'm still the lead physician, um, seasoned physician for our hospice and home-based palliative care, but I'm not in all that other stuff.
Oh, so good,
And
isn't it?
oh
Feels
my
good to breathe.
gosh, oh my gosh, but I was freaking out at the time because I'm
I'm
like, "Well,
sure.
where do I go from here?" You know how you feel like you've done everything at a job and you reach that ceiling? Like, so what?
Mhm, mhm.
So it was really that change. It was like, I've spent so many years setting new goals, right? And so, Lord, there's no new goal to set.
Right.
So
Right.
what do I do now? And the Lord
Right.
says, what you do now is you let me take over. What you do now
He's
is
been
you
he's
stop
been
trying
waiting
to
for
run
you
the
all
show.
this time,
Yeah,
Dr.
he's like,
Phillips.
finally,
He's like,
you wouldn't listen
"Finally."
to me, right? You wouldn't listen to me. I kept trying to give you the signal.
That's so funny.
You
So what
you
was
know, so it's like, so now I believe him. So now I don't play with him. You know
That
what I'm
is
like?
so funny. Oh my God, I love that. I love that. And I love when we can have that kind of relationship with God, right? Like we see him working and it's so funny. Like, I think we all go through this in our lives where especially all of us who believe in God and the fact that he is the author of our life. And if we just paid attention, how much smoother our life would be.
Oh
Not
my
that we
god.
wouldn't have issues, we would, but we would have it knowing he's in control as opposed
Yes.
to being the ones that try to control everything.
Yes.
And because we're high achievers, we think we're supposed to control everything and we controlling nothing. Okay, let's just be real. So
That's right.
what was that shift for you? Like, because I know now and this is how we met, right? Because now you're into really helping women and having your own coaching program and your podcast and all of that. So, what was that light bulb for you, or that aha for you as a leader, right? Saying to yourself, it's time now to take all of my wisdom, all of my knowledge, all of, my skill sets and all of that and pour it into someone else. What was that for you?
I remember actually before, and again, it might have been in 2019. As I said, if I look back over, I really feel God was trying to send me messages.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
remember in 2019, I'm sure that's when it was. I was sitting in one of our because it was before COVID, and sitting in our in-person administrative meetings with all the different department heads. And I just remember sitting there just kind of looking around, like almost like I was watching a movie. Like I don't fit in here. And I just sat there looking at other people like,
So I get that.
you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm, mhm.
are you all really into this? you know, you know,
Right,
I felt like,
right.
but I couldn't I couldn't process it. But I remember that, and God had told me, Nina, when he called me to ministry, and that was back in 1998 actually. He said, "I want you to use your voice for me." Now, Phyllis took it and did what she was going to do with it, right?
Right.
But he had said he wanted me to use my voice for him. So, as I sat with, after he pulled that emergency cord, and I really had to face him and face myself. I had to face Phyllis. Before I could even truly open myself up, I had to really go deep, because I'm not one who stays in a dark place for long. That's just not the way
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
wired.
I'm the
So
same.
I've gotta do the work.
Mhm,
I've got to do
mhm,
whatever, I've got to do to get out of that,
mhm,
and I just remember saying, "Lord," and he had also said, "What if there's something else?" That was a major question. And then I had to, as I said, sit with it, and before I really could move on, I had to stop and look at priorities. I had to stop and say, "You have been giving all of this time and energy." And I have no regrets. As I said, I love patient care. I love it. And I love dealing with my frontline team. But he said, "Now you're the one who asked to be in this leadership position.
mhm.
Yet you're also the one decided to take it to a whole nother level, you know, and kind of left me out of it. Um, but I had to say, Lord, first, I realized I've gotten away from you. I felt in a way like the prodigal daughter. I said,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
story of the prodigal son, I felt like I had to face myself and say, Phyllis, you have taken his blessings, your inheritance, and you've done some good stuff, but you've also kind of gone away from home.
Mhm, mhm.
So let's get on back home, whatever that means, whatever work that you have to do. And during that time, and really talking with him and saying, Lord, I don't have the answers. I know you've told me that you have a purpose for me. I thought I was doing it, but
Right.
obviously I wasn't. So I am now, you have my eyes and my ears. What is it? And the
Mhm,
first thing I had to do, Nina, is I had to apologize. And before I tell you about that, I remember when things got really crazy during, COVID, and trying to help the team. And you can imagine, understandably, everybody's emotions are all over the place. People are
right.
acting out, and I'm talking about more the workplace stuff, not the patient care. Patient care continued. Um, but it was like I found myself, because I was so tired and so exhausted trying to keep everything going, that I found myself apologizing. Like,
Mm.
because again, I felt guilty that people were going through this. I didn't have all the answers because no one had all the answers,
Right.
right? Um, and people were upset, and I just found myself apologizing. And one of my coworkers, my administrative partners, she said, "Why do you keep apologizing for everything?"
Mm.
And so when I was in that time of contemplation, I said, "I don't need to be apologizing to the people at work. First, I need to apologize to God because I
Mhm.
lost track of him, even though, from the outward look, I'm doing it.
Right.
I had to apologize to my family. Now they looked at me like, "Well, you don't have to apologize." I said, "No, it's not even about you. I have to apologize to you
Right. Did you
because,"
apologize to you, though?
and then I apologized to Phyllis.
Good.
So
Okay.
those were the
All right.
3.
Wasn't gonna let you
I
get away with that. You were gonna
Oh,
have to
yeah,
do
no, no,
that.
no. I
Even
had
if it's
to
on
be
screen right now,
no,
you got to
nope,
apologize to
nope,
you.
you have for me, I had to apologize to God, and
Yeah.
actually, I would say second was I did apologize to me,
Mhm.
because and then I apologized to my family. And again, it wasn't I didn't do anything to hurt them, I didn't
No, I
but
get
it
it.
was
Yeah.
my release to be able to
Mhm.
say, "I realize that I had lost track of priorities." Now, I'm I'm being the mom. I'm making sure the kids get where they're going. I'm
Mhm.
making sure, they're both are getting in college. I'm ripping and running, checking on my daughter, in college, and making sure my son gets through, and, you know, supporting my husband and my extended family. Yet I know I wasn't fully present. I was
Right.
just checking things off. Like, you
Right.
know, I was the parent, as I talk about at the gymnastics competitions or the performances, who's videoing it because she's trying to capture the moment, but she's not in the moment.
Right.
I'm so
Right.
busy videoing that I'm not enjoying the moment.
Right. Right.
And so I did that
So
so
good.
that I could start fresh. And after I did that, I also apologized to really close friends that I've known for years. And again, not that I haven't been there for them, but we know. We
Right.
know deep
Right.
in our heart when we're not
Right.
showing up in the way that we really would wanna show up. And
Right.
once I did that, Nina, I felt like I could reestablish priorities, and work became not the end, but the means,
Yes.
so
So
that
good.
family, Phyllis, became the priority. And I'm there to do great work, love upon my team that I work with. We interdisciplinary, love my nurses, my social worker, my chaplain, home health aides, volunteers, admin, all of them. But medicine became a means. It's not the end.
So good.
So I can do the good work there, but I can let that go. I don't
Right.
have to do that 24/7. And now start really getting to know who Phyllis is.
There's such a
And
freedom in
who
that, isn't there?
Yes, and who
Such a
God
freedom.
created me for. Because you have all these narratives, after we pass 30s, our 40s and older, to I don't know that, even though I said it's a fresh start, I don't know that I necessarily would say it's starting over. It's just getting out of that rest stop and getting back on the journey and unpacking some stuff that you can't take on to the journey,
Mhm.
you know? And I oh my gosh, I am living so free. And really where even the resilient came from is it's amazing that even when I've had to deal with workplace drama, being a leader and dealing with other leaders, they always said, you're so resilient. And there was a time that that really left a really sour taste in my mouth because I felt like, okay, you're treating me any kind of way.
Right.
You causing me drama, but then you're going to turn
Mm.
around and say, well, you can deal with it because you're resilient. But now I can say, yeah, I am resilient. You're sure right. I was
Yeah.
born resilient. I was born
Right.
ready. So, and I can embrace that. And that's why, it's the foundation that I had to embrace how I'm wired. And I know
Yeah.
I'm not alone. There's so many of us that we are resilient. It's just life has just kind of thrown us some curveballs and it's gotten a little rusty and tarnished. And maybe the
Mhm.
flicker's gone down, but it's there.
I love that though, right? Because I love, just spending time with God every morning and things like that. And I realize I'm so thankful for all of the things I've gone through and going through. Like, I'm so
Yes.
thankful for it because it just gives you such perseverance and strength and resilience that you can't know otherwise. People
Yes.
can tell you their story. It's a different thing to go through the story. And so I love that you're doing that. And I love that you decided, you know what? I found pause. I found resilience in me. I found, a way to connect. I found a way to go from overwhelm, right? To the
Yes.
resilience, like your podcast and the way that you're helping people overcome like the belief systems, the guilt, the traps that they put themselves in. And so I wanted you to touch I know that we're coming to an end, but I don't want to leave anybody without knowing, what it is you're doing with women now, how you're impacting them, because I really want whoever's listening and is resonating with you and jiving with what you're saying right now to know that there is help and that you don't have to keep going on the hamster wheel. And I love the way you said, pulling the emergency cord off of the treadmill.
Mhm.
And that is so important. So touch a little bit on that. Like, what is it that you're doing with these women now that you have this coaching program to help them?
So it's a customized program, and the 4 pillars are helping, Christian women, really tap into, priority, permission, purpose, and presence. And I am a strong believer that we have to hit it from a mind, body, and spirit direction. And it's customized in that right now I'm offering one-to-one, coaching and mentorship. And I really want to give women a venue to just come and talk and to tell their stories. Because I think often we are good at listening to other people's stories, but we need a chance. We don't
Right.
necessarily need someone to right away give us a recipe. We just need to talk it out
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then figure out what what are their dreams? What is her dream?
Right.
What is it? She's had the same feelings I had before. She
Yep.
knows there's something more, but she can't quite overcome that block, that guilt, that narrative that's no longer suiting her to give
Mm-hmm.
her the courage to step forward. So
Mm-hmm.
in the coaching and mentorship program, we will first tap into what she feels is her blocks, and I help her work through that and really help her develop a approach to life that
That's beautiful.
allows her to tap into her resilience so that no matter what, she can keep it moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the thing I like about it because I think everyone is different. There are some general themes that I think that ties it because I think many of us as Christian women deal a lot with guilt, trying
Yeah.
to be everything to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yet how it has showed up in each of our lives is a little differently. And so
Right.
trying to help my clients tap into that, bring those themes forward, help them release them so then we then can step forward and make her live her best life there is.
Right. And I think, we got to give ourselves a permission
Yes.
to really allow whatever it is that is in our hearts to come out because we are asking people permission all the time for our journeys. And that is a big mistake. And, and sometimes we do it because at first we're looking for guidance. But
Yes.
then I think what happens is that then we depend on that guidance so much that we don't give ourselves or allow ourselves to do what it is we want to do. Instead,
Yes.
we're asking permission. Now, if you keep asking permission, they will only give you what they know. You have to show up like you. Show up like you unapologetically, just
That's right.
show up. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that, even I'm 51 years old. I'm revamping my vision and everything. I've been coaching women for some time. And it's just like, why do I keep asking permission for something that's already in my heart and soul and strength? And I know that God has put there. I don't think that any piece of my journey wasn't a purpose. I think all of it was a purpose for a purpose.
Yes.
Right. And so I love that you're helping them with that, and that you're helping them like really pursue who they are, and you're listening. Do you know how important that is for women? I mean, they don't, like you said, like we listen to everybody else, but sometimes we don't listen, not even to ourselves, right,
No.
Dr. Phyllis? I mean, we'll listen to other people's stories and we don't even listen to ourselves,
No,
right?
you're
And
right.
so, yeah.
You're right, Nina, because that's what I felt was missing when I was going through all my stuff. I had my wonderful admin partners who were there for support, but I didn't have a physician mentor that who
Hmm.
could, like be able to say to do that for me. And
Right.
so just having that person to listen. So you're totally right. And I love to talk, as you can see, and I love to listen. And I think people just need a place for someone to let them not feel rushed
Yeah. Yeah.
and let things come out so we can move forward.
Yeah. Be present. Stop thinking about the next moment when you're in a moment,
Life is
right?
so precious.
So precious and so unpredictable. And you're not promised tomorrow. And God never promised us tomorrow. And yet we still plan for tomorrow while we're in the present. It's ridiculous. So, Dr. Phyllis, before I let you go, though, are you working with all women? Is there a women in certain leadership roles? Like, what women are you working with?
So I am working with Christian women over 35. Um,
Great.
and I'm just here. I'm just ready for
Right.
anyone who feels like they're kind of suffering out there by themselves and they need a confidential place.
Yep.
So they're wearing all the hats, they're busy, but they're suffering inside while they're trying to
Yeah.
take care of everybody else.
Trying to
And
be
they just
perfect.
need someone to help walk through it
Yeah.
with them.
Exactly. I'm so glad. And I'm glad you came on, and I'm glad you dropped all this wisdom. And I'm glad that you're following what God is asking you to do, because there are many people out there waiting to hear your voice, and without it, what would they be listening to? Let's be real, right? There's 8 billion people in the world, but there is people that are for us and are,
Yeah.
like really jive with us, really know who we are, really want to get into our ecosystem. So you have to be out there spreading that for people to know who you are. And I thank you for coming on Straight Talk No Sugar Added, because it's such a pleasure. I've just loved you since day one, since I've met you. And I respect you. I honor the woman that you are and the way you always show up. And I'm so grateful that you came to talk to my audience. I
No,
appreciate
thank
you.
you, Nina, for this opportunity.
It was so fun. So fun. Guys, I told you, right? Best humans on the planet.
Mm.
I love her so much. I want to make sure that you listen, that you understand what she's saying. And she is here for you, right? She is centered on giving you permission and priority and presence and purpose, right? And guided by your faith. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing. So don't do this alone. Stop doing things alone that you don't have
Yes.
to do alone. You don't need to wear a cape. You don't need to act like you're Superwoman. You don't need to do any of that. You have enough superpower in you to transcend things, to be resilient, to show up for you. And you need to do this because I mean, the other alternative is to just stay where you are. And
Yes.
if you're
Thank
happy where you are, then great, go ahead and do that. But if you're not, pull the emergency cord and let's get moving. Now, I'm going to make sure I link all of her information below. I don't want you wasting time. Don't think about it. Just freaking contact her and get over it. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is Neena Perez. This is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.